So Nadun Hennayaka, CEO at GAIA Project Australia, thank you so much for being patient with me today and joining me on the Vertical Farming Podcast.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. It's great to chat to you, Harry.
So I want to always let people know that taking imperfect action is always great, and nothing ever goes the way you want it to. So Nadine was on the session today, and I wasn't. So and it's just I think sometimes as podcasters, because I've started podcast my first show I started in 2014 called Podcast Junkies, and I interview other podcasters. And so I've been doing that for 8 years, 300 plus episodes, and I've seen everything that can happen happens, and so it doesn't surprise me anymore. And sometimes I'm the cause of it too, so I have to. But real life sometimes takes over sometimes, and I think it's just a reminder sometimes that we all try to project this like perfect image online that everything we've got it under control, but it's like the ducks on the water, right? Underneath their feet are like flapping really really fast.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I have seen that only quite recently. Though. I was like, oh, they're so peaceful in the water, but no, it's not when you go under. So,
Yeah. So where's for the benefit of the listener, where's home for you?
it is in Melbourne, Australia.
Okay. How long you been
Yeah,
there?
I've been there since 2007, so it's
Okay.
been a while now. So
Okay.
yeah, I migrated from the next door neighbor from New Zealand, so was always a good journey. And I love
Okay.
here. I mean, this is one of the best cities I've been ever been in. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll call it home from now on.
What's one of the least appreciated things about Melbourne that most people don't know about?
Well, I would say it is the weather. It is
Mm.
quite unpredictable. You know, we start nice and sunny, then 2 hours later it's winter clothing back on. So yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. And so where did you study university?
So I did my studies, my school and university in New Zealand. So I studied
Okay.
in University of Auckland.
Okay.
Yeah, I finished my bachelor's around mid 2000. I did 6 years in university. So I started
Mm.
with engineering, then I swapped degrees, took a year off. So it was a whole roller coaster ride. But yeah, it was great.
Where did your passion for engineering come from?
It was all right. So it's not really a passion, but I've been for me, my whole family, my parents, my mom, dad, my uncles, my sister's an engineer, my brother's a doctor. So our
Okay.
family is always just this, trying to push everyone through to get to the best, and I'm truly happy about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I did engineering for them, but to realize it now, I mean, it's really coming handy. After about 20 years of studying.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so what was those early jobs like? Was it what you thought it would be when you graduated from uni?
Oh no, so I mean, to be honest, so I even though I started with engineering after second year, I quit. I mean, I just couldn't deal with it, so I took some time off. Then I finished
Okay.
my bachelor's in commerce and business majors, and I
Okay.
did network engineering as well. So I did work in engineering field, but more towards IT or the IoT sector.
Yeah.
And look, everything was great. I mean, job was job for me for my whole 20s, and I
Yeah.
think things kind of took turn after I turned 30. That's when I kind of looked into figure out your life.
Yeah.
Not like some people. I think some people are lucky to know what they want to do early days. I wasn't one of them. So yeah.
I think they do, and then when they realize, like when the real world kicks in, and then you realize like we have so many different things that light us up, so many different passions, and it's not. I don't think, and then I'm Latino, so I understand like immigrant parents like expecting a certain thing to happen for for their son, and it's only because they want the best for them. So
Yeah.
that's definitely why. But we start to have different likes and different passions, and I think things start to come awake for us as we try new things.
Oh no, 100%. I truly agree. I think always parents what they do is with their best intentions, and I'm truly thankful for what they did. I mean, all the goods. Yes, I mean, I was one of the roughest kids to deal with back in the day. But all I know, I think it's a past from now.
They're proud of you now, though, I'm sure.
Hopefully, I mean, very hard to please our parents. So
It's
I'm sure
true.
you know as well. So,
Yeah, there's always like you bring home the B plus, and it's like could have tried a little
oh,
harder.
Could have done better, you
Yeah,
know.
true. So with a name like Gaia Project, obviously there's something aspirational there, some thought about maybe what was happening or what you were seeing happening on a global scale. So what was coming alive for you as you started to think about, the creation of this new company?
It is. I mean, my all started pretty much straight after I turned 30. So I mean, I was happy with my corporate jobs. It was all good, but then after I turned 30, I was like, you know what? I need to figure out a purpose in my life. So I did more traveling, read a lot of books. I think the fundamentals of my understanding from all of that is life is you can't happiness is a byproduct of service in my
Ooh,
point of view. So I think it's just doing something to betterness of the mankind truly was something I'm searching for, and I want to do, and I think that's how Gaia came across. Gaia is another name for Earth, so it
yeah.
was like my company is built for Earth project is to make this place better for us and also the animals. They everything around us, the nature, the biosphere, the whole thing. So yeah, and it's truly wholeheartedly that was the main reason this was built, and yeah.
Who were you working with, or who was inspiring you, or to kind of help? Who did you have as a sounding board for some of these ideas early on?
Early on, so I mean, for me to figure out what I really want to do because I want to make positive impacts. So I mean, earlier days, like around 2015, 2016, I started looking into renewable energy because I
Mm-hmm.
truly had a passion. I'm like, look, there is a big solution that we can support and implement. So I look into Southeast Asia in renewable energy projects for commercial scale.
Yeah.
And through that, I learned about waste to energy, which is called plasma gasification. I mean, I still don't know how this tech is not really commercialized still. Like, it's just really great. Like, there's companies in Japan and India, they're really working closely with new tech. So then I kind of stumbled upon this Netherlands company who's using air bubbles to get to filter plastic from the water without harming the fish. So that's like
Wow.
so. My goal was to build this air bubble because like in Southeast Asia is one of the biggest countries that pollute the ocean with
Mm-hmm.
plastics and then creating all these unnecessary problems.
Yeah.
So I was like, what if we can capture this plastic, put into these waste to energy platforms, and then create energy from waste? But then, so this is how I stumbled upon vertical farming. Then I was like, oh, you still have a byproduct of CO2. How do
Yeah.
you mitigate CO2 because it's the biggest greenhouse gas problem?
Yes, of course.
And yeah, so I think hydroponics came in. They were like, you know what, plants uses a lot of CO2. So I mean, that's a great place to offset the CO2 so people can eat and go back into the soil.
Mm-hmm.
And then yes, the purple lights in vertical farms was the one that really took me in. I was like, wow, what is this?
This looks like a
I'm
nightclub.
really it does, and I can actually work on this place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
were you you mentioned hydroponics, obviously it's almost like the gateway into vertical farming, but were you then starting to notice other companies in the space? Other obviously, I'm sure you started to doing research, and so what type of rabbit holes were you going down?
Yeah, so like for example, Australia and New Zealand, we're not really big on hydroponics till like early 2020s. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the inspiration kind of came from aerofarms because they started their research in early 2012, 13, and I
Yeah.
saw their test farms back in the days. I was like,
Mm.
this is crazy. How do people grow things upwards? It was straight up out of a comic book. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm like when you're truly interested on something, for me I
Yeah.
really wanted to break it down to figure out how does this work, how I mean because it was just amazing. I'm like,
Yeah.
how can I be a part of this? That was the idea.
Yeah.
And I looked into NASA. I mean, that time ISS was slowly starting to work on growing plants in space, so there was also potential there.
Yeah.
So I thought, this is something definitely worthwhile looking into. So slowly digged in, and yeah, 3 4 years later, yeah. So it's a good journey so far.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the projects you'd been working on. So when you got started in 2017, focused on some plastic removal strategies as well, and then waste to energy, solar utility, and then sustainable farming. Were you sort of kind of thinking about what the company was going to be and what were some of the projects that were getting some traction for you?
Yeah, it was. It's crazy because I mean I always thought renewable was my path. Where like this is it, I'm going to stick to this, and then suddenly went to waste to energy. Then I'm like, oh, you know what, this is it. This is what I'm going to stick to. But it's like because I wasn't really set on this is the only road that I really want to be in, and that's why I kind of keep exploring what I want to do. For me, my life is quite simple. I'm single. I'm kind of middle aged, but I really want
Yeah,
to devote it for something meaningful for myself
yeah,
that I think is beneficial. So and I don't know, something about this hydroponic systems really got me, and that's when I like because how this whole system kind of came across was I'm kind of an amateur stargazer, so I got a couple of different telescopes at home, kind
oh,
of from
okay,
the old school ones to the new age ones.
nice.
So my channels are oscillating, and then how this came across was it's a telescopic kind of method that used by the old telescopes. So this is how this whole story of our patented channel started. So
Wow.
yeah.
When did that passion start?
Probably around late 2018, and because I thought about like planting we've done for the last 800 years, from the dark
Yeah,
ages, it's always
yeah,
been linear, but we have improved so much on certain other things like controlling the light frequencies, how to deliver the nutrients directly into the roots. But then why do we still need to keep preset fixed distance spacing? I mean, it's all good when you
mm-hmm.
have natural farming like Australia, when you have unlimited land and water,
Yeah,
that's fine. But this is not the case in the future. But then you look at farms like aero farms. So if you're going upwards and if you 100% depending on artificial lighting, cooling, HVAC, that's a significant energy use. So every square centimeter matters. So
yeah,
the idea is how to get the best out of it, how to increase the density. And that's why I thought, why don't we make things, why don't we make our channels to grow with the plants rather than
mm,
the other way around, make the nature fit for us. Why don't we fit the nature?
mm.
So yeah, that's the fundamentals of it. So
Exciting. So, for folks who are not familiar with Gaia Project and its current iteration and what the current offerings are, how do you explain to people like what your the current offering stack looks like, and then who is an ideal customer?
sure. So how our systems work is so it's very simple and straightforward. So if we currently using a NFT system or nutrient film techniques, just normal channel systems that very familiar in the hydroponic systems on leafy
Okay.
greens. And our channels are very easily retrofitting. So it's a normal 50 by 100 similar channels. But the difference in our ones is a telescopic channel. So the patented, there's a three main components on our channels. That's the individual channel. There's a small and a bigger one that goes in and out. And then there's a top tray system that supports each plant. So if you take, for example, traditional farming, you can grow around 15 heads of lettuce per square meter because
Mm-hmm.
you lose a lot of space to walk around.
Yeah.
Then you move into standard or traditional greenhouses that can push about 25 plants per square meter. I'm talking about mature lettuce heads, so that's about
Yeah.
200 millimeter head size.
Okay.
Then you go to advanced greenhouses, such as the ones in Netherlands, like Hortiplant. They have robotics and everything with moving gully systems. They can push around 35 plants per square meter. And our system can push over 50 plants per square meter. Now that's a
Wow.
huge jump. So we're moving from just a normal 25 or 35 to 50 plants per square meter. So that's doubling the output in the same area. So that's the difference. So we increase the density of the plants from the initial first second week up until the final week of the growth. So the channels
Mm.
expand only as the plant needs. So that's where the difference is. So for us, the concentrating for the next few years is we have done just over 3 years of testing on our channel, so they are pretty much market ready. So goal is to concentrate on selling our channels to the public within Australia for the next
Mm-hmm.
12 months, just to get further idea of how the large scale systems work. Like we already have a pre-sales customer who's a Queensland farmer who heard about our system. We had a chat, and he was really keen on the system, and I'm
Yeah.
quite happy about it. Now we do have another customer from South Africa who want to build a 2,500 square meter large scale farm,
Okay.
and we do have a lot of interest from large scale farms now in Australia. So it's really great to see that feedback from people without we even going into the market. So
Mm.
and that's the one side. So that's called our Earth project side. So we
Yeah.
always have the other component for NASA we're doing is for the space project. So there's two arms we're constantly working on, which is amazing. Like something I didn't even dream of 20 years ago. That so
What's happened? So, explain a little bit about what you're doing on this on the NASA side.
Yeah, so NASA was just a random stumble upon story. So how when I came up with the idea in 2019, so I'm sure Harry, you know quite well about this sector. I mean, I did listen to a couple of very good podcasts of yours as well. So it's it is big on both, and in the space you do need this kind of solution. But when I came up with this idea to doubling the output, I tried to get funding or support, like joining incubators, accelerator, but then people thought I was a bit crazy because I don't really have much of a background on
Yeah,
agriculture,
who's
right?
this guy?
Who is this guy coming up and say, you got a better solution for a $40 billion industry?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so for 2 years, I couldn't get support or validation from anyone. So around 2021, I was like, okay, you know what? I got nothing to lose then, just getting to the best brains in the world to have a look at the system. So
yeah.
fortunately at that time, NASA had a deep space food challenge where they basically applied for open for the whole world that you can supply your designs that you think that the system that can provide the highest output for the lowest amount of input.
Mm.
So I designed a new system according to their very strict parameters, did animation for the system, and just submitted it. Thought, why not? Let's see how this flies out.
Yeah, yeah.
Then yeah, a few months later, I got a call back from them saying, hey, you actually won the International Innovation Award. I was like, oh wow, this was completely unexpected.
It's real now.
It was. I was like, you know what? If I can get validation from anyone, I think the best of the brains say, this has potential. I was like, oh wow, finally there's a break. And yeah, so the whole announcement went on NASA TV, and it was presented by the astronaut Scott Kelly.
Oh my
He
God.
was one of the first people who did the letters on the ISS and then had the taste. So he's like, oh look, we truly love your system and what you
Wow.
guys doing. So now we're building a prototype for them for end of this year. We're building it in Melbourne. So a similar platform we're building for them, it's for a 3-year mission that can support 4 astronauts on a long duration flights. So we currently testing them on 0.98G.
Okay.
Down in about another 2 years, we'll go microgravity. So the system is 2 cubic meters. You can supply around 600 to 800 grams of leafy greens on the spaceships. So that's the idea of the system we prototype we're building. Yes, and yeah. So our main components are we have the channels are made from HDPE, so it's recyclable, and then we have zero waste because of the roots and the pods coming out of them. Roots goes back to a mycelium network to grow mushrooms, so it's a very
Oh.
closed loop system. Yeah, so it's quite interesting doing that every day.
Well,
I do love coming to work nowadays.
yeah. Couple of questions. Are they gonna let you be the repair guy and fly out to space in case something's broken?
I'm really hoping so. I'm one of the guys waiting till Elon just land his first rocket in Mars. I'm like, yes, sir, please sign me in.
Yeah.
I'll be your horticulturalist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the most long distance repair guy visit in the world.
Yeah.
I'm here to fix the hydroponics.
Yes. It's a 6 months trip one way.
That's crazy. What were some of the challenges that you were encountering when you're trying to create a system to be supported in that environment, as opposed to what you would traditionally have to do here on the ground?
Parameters wise, it's all at the moment is very same. Like so because our initial stages for the next event for the next stage for the next 12 months as well for our phase 3 is always trying on 1G. We're not going to go below that because once our initial setup of the expansion is done, because currently ISS, I mean it's about 80 a project now and it's moving to Artemis program as well. They've been testing these things called pillows or pillow beds that they have the nutrients and everything comes in and the pillow beds expand as the plant expands. Now,
Okay.
these systems are already there. So our goal is to supplement our channel systems with these pillows to further increase. So that's the pathway. Because it's very hard for NFT channels to run on 0G. We might have maybe possibilities of running on Mars because they have about a 0.38G,
Mm-hmm.
but with lunar surfaces where you have 0G, it's quite impossible to have water flowing through because it will be everywhere. So that's why you kind of have to have a locked-in system.
Mm.
End of the day for us, NASA has always been this really nice price we want. I mean, I love the development of that. And at the end of the day, look, I think it's like you learn from the mistake we made from Earth, and we're like, let's
Yeah.
not. If we go to another planet, let's do this right this time. And then that's a far away goal. But I think the urgency for me is to deploy this around here. I mean, as you know, Harry, hydroponics is not a fix for everything of the food
Yeah.
sector. You know, we
Yeah.
can fix about 15 to 20% of the food sector maximum. So I mean, as if you can fix 20%, you know, you only have 80% to fix. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's
No,
probably
true.
it's lesser. Yeah.
And so I'm curious when you think about the opportunity that you have to work with NASA and how that's making it's almost from a visibility perspective to really shining a light on hydroponics and vertical farming, especially when you get that success. Where do you test these environments here on the ground?
So at the moment, we're kind of building the systems on our end. So
Okay.
one of the complex stages we need to bypass now is so the restrictions we have is one of the key ones that is really struggling for us on our end is a system size. So
Mm.
for us to deliver, see, initially it's always easy to design and draw this and animate it and then send it to NASA and get the tick off. Right now, they
Yeah.
said, "All right, boys, we like your system. Now you got to build it." You're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Okay,
Yeah.
now this is
The
when
hard part.
it's not that hard. It's just because it's a very small area. We got 2 cubic meters to build this entire system, and we're growing 120 plus plants on this 2 cubic meter system,
Oh.
and it's that includes tags, nutrients, nurseries, microgreen systems. A whole lot had to be squashed into this one small area, which is something we're currently doing. We got the channels right now. Now we just need to build the rest of the electronics on the system. And yeah, so I'm quite confident we're going to achieve this in the next 3 months. And then
Okay.
because we have our assessment in December, and it will be open to public afterwards in Melbourne as well, so people can see, you know, what might be in this space in the future. So
Hmm.
and yeah, and then after end of next year, after we pass phase 3, we're trying to set our systems on microgravity. Most probably
Okay.
try companies like Axiom or someone to take our channels up to the space and then test drive them.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's because the thing for us is, as you know, we're a startup, so you know, budget is always tight. So we're like, okay, let's try to put the money in something that may be profitable, so we can get some revenue rather
Yeah.
than working on space. Is pretty hard, you know, keep to to get
Yeah.
funding for us. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Is this your first time as a CEO?
I have. So I've been as head of operations on
Okay.
companies on most of the C level, but I
Yeah.
did have 2 other startups previously. I mean, one of
Okay.
them was my solar. The
Yeah.
one before that was a recruiting company back in the, I think about 15 years ago. I started. I mean, didn't really have the soul for it. So yeah. So this is a whole new gig now. But managing people was something I've done for about over 10 years.
Okay.
So and I kind of really understand the environment, how to be a nice person. Then you know,
Yeah. That's
treat
usually
people right.
it's CEO 101, be a nice person.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. I think once you work with a lot of other people, you're like, you know, what's the best of that person, and then learn from that and make sure you be that, you know, for your staff.
Did you have relationships with mentors or anyone who helped guide you along the way or provide advice in your career?
In my career, I mean, I was lucky. I mean, I was fortunate to work with big industry company. Like I was with ASA, and then and
Mm-hmm.
then and then I was with Senacom. That's a company who optioned me for like. I mean, I work closely with Apple. We built one of the first third-party service centers with Apple,
Oh wow.
and we work with Cisco, Microsoft. So there's a lot of corporate environments that I got really used to, especially dealing with garments and everything. And when you get exposed to all these different environments and people, you kind of get the vibe on how their team works and what people like and they don't. I think
Mm-hmm.
I always look at that and then get. That's why I always love meetings in person because you get the feel rather than just a voice.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then yeah, learn through that. And I'm hoping my guys probably is when they listen to this, you know, if I do anything bad, to let me know, you know. So
Um, what were you thinking about, when you first get started like this, and there's so many different roles to fill and so many different positions, and you're trying to think about how to build a team for the vision that you have, and maybe for you it's even more challenging because you've pivoted a couple of times. So, how did you think about team growth in those early days?
Yeah, I think early days was the hardest. I mean, even now, I mean, I'm still the CEO. I'm the senior architect, the designer, the
Yeah,
engineer, and also the cleaner on the weekends. So I mean, I wear all the hats till
yeah,
till today. So it
yes.
hasn't changed much. But I think earlier days, one of the greatest lessons I learned was being efficient in your business. Like for me, I didn't had any CAD experience. I didn't know any design drawings like AutoCAD,
Mm,
Autodesk,
yeah.
but most of my systems had to be built on this platform to even to run a simulation. So I think early 2019, 2018, I kind of looked into this and I had people hired from like platforms such as Fiverr, just get them hourly based and they get them designs.
Yeah, yeah.
I think 6 months into this project, I had a monthly bill about just close to $3,000. I was like, this is not working out. So I
Okay.
took about 3 to 4 months off. I did night school and I learned CAD.
Wow.
Now I
Okay.
pretty much do all the initial design. So we still have about four big engineering companies we pass our designs to. But the good thing now is like I can do the initial skeleton, test drive them. We got a massive 3D print farm that we have, so we
Okay.
can design, test within 24 to 48 hours and see how they work and do the reiterations. And
Yeah.
once it's all finalized on mine, I can send to engineering to get their proper approval from the people who have actual degrees and masters on that field. But it does
Who
save a
actually
lot of
went?
money.
Yeah. Who actually went to school for this, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then, so where? How do you think about where the company is going now, and where you're going to see the challenges or the opportunities for growing the team?
I think we truly have a great potential because as it is, Harry, like for us, what we're changing is the bedrock of hydroponics.
Hmm.
Yes, there are hydroponics. We do have a lot of like deep water culture, NFT. There are a lot of different methods of growing. But then for us, if we can change a density of a plant growing system significantly, such as ours. I'm not saying we are the only one. Like, so let's say, for example, AM Hydro, they are, I think, one of the biggest channel suppliers in US.
Hmm.
Their channels, they can push the same amounts, but they have two different channels that they use. So they grow from the nursery, then to the secondary system, then once they grow, they move down. Now, all these systems, then you have to have labor, then you have cross contamination. So there are a lot of things. And then there are companies such as Holy Plant in Netherlands, one of the largest leafy green
Yeah.
suppliers. They use robotics. One of their robots costs about 260,000 euros per
Wow.
robot. Like, so there are other options to grow these volumes, but the thing is we are the simplest, most the cheapest solution out. And that's why I think there's such a good potential for us. So
Yeah.
and then creating channels that's exactly similar to what's currently in the market. The main goal for us is retrofitting, because let's say someone has a farm and then has its channel systems like running NFT already. They can keep the rest of the infrastructure in their tanks, pumps, everything is the same. They just need to
Okay.
change the channels and then how the expansion system works, which is a very simple solution. So basically, you create less waste and then also a lot of less sunk cost for the people who want to invest. And then in return, you literally get double the yield. So double
Yeah.
yield means double the revenue.
Yeah.
And then your operation cost hasn't gone up. So, and it's most efficient for vertical farms, because for vertical farms, it's always the electricity for the LEDs is about 60% of your energy.
Mm.
And I think I think apart from Calera, there's not many people who does mature leafy greens or lettuce heads, because they know the time in between to grow and the number of plants you can grow for the profitability is quite less. And that's where we come in. We're giving that window now, like, hey, now in vertical farms, you can actually do the same traditional farm leafy greens
Yeah.
without losing any revenue. So that
Mm.
it creates fundamental pathways for us to move forward. So initially, we wanna go through testing the channels within the market, do some retrofitting, learn some turnkey solutions, and then start building our own hardware as well in regard to sensors.
Makes
So
sense. Yeah.
it is a long journey, but quite interesting so far. Yeah.
And so, where do you see the markets opening up for Gaia, and are they different than what your original plans were?
Yes. So
I
for
mean,
me, Harry, like my original.
you've got space covered, so
Yeah. Space is so far going well, so that's great. But for yeah, like my original plan like 2 years ago was truly to build a full turnkey supply. So go
hmm.
from everything from the channels to the HVAC to the automation, the whole lot. But what I have learned is it's like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's someone already invented certain components who's really great at it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
and then why if you have something great, why don't we just collaborate with each other companies and then
Yeah.
create a single solution?
Yeah.
Because we don't need everybody else to research the same thing on different places. It's unnecessary.
That's a good
Like
point.
there are
Yeah.
companies I know have the best LEDs, and we currently testing them. And there are companies that I know who has great HVAC systems. Perfect. For our robotics, because our channels are very unique, we have built our own robotics. So good thing for us is we got a lot of help from this university, La Trobe University in Melbourne. So we have the robotics team working closely
Mm.
with us because we had to build two different robotic systems for NASA and then one for the Earth systems as well. So we working with them. And also we got a startup in actually Netherlands again, who created this amazing unit. It's this small carbon capture unit that's the size of a small refrigerator that captures CO2 from the air and then concentrate it and push it into greenhouses and vertical farms. I mean, how
Oh,
amazing is that?
that's
So you
awesome.
don't have to, you don't, yeah, it's, and I saw these guys. I was like, I would like to purchase your first equipment. So they're doing the release in next year, March. I'm like, why not? Because ideally, my goal is to create a solution, but that does not create more problems.
Yeah.
So, it's like that's the idea of efficiency in the future. Just make something, but make sure that it doesn't create some problems on other ends. So yeah, I think the goal for us is just hopefully working with other companies down the track and create some partnerships and then delivering these solutions.
How has your experience been connecting? Obviously, it sounds positive from those interactions, but have you started to connect with other peers in the space in terms of what's happening either in Australia or New Zealand and elsewhere, maybe through conferences as well?
Yeah, the thing with Harry is like we haven't really had much time on marketing or connection with people because I know that even my advisors say I'm very into my engineering narrow mindset rather than marketing. Because for me,
Yeah.
I still believe the thing called the word. If I sell something, I want to make sure this it's true. So
Yeah.
I've been pushing this saying my system works, and I know it works. So for me, it's
Yeah.
my engineering need to be complete, but everyone else pushing me saying, "Hey, you have to work on the marketing side," and it's very true.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing for us is we do get a lot of positive feedback from customers that we hasn't even started selling. So that kind of gives us
Mm.
the idea, like, the solution itself is great. We haven't truly decided which ones people to speak with. Like, for example, like there are a couple of companies, small companies in Australia that's has taken certain sectors. For example, there's modular farms. They're based in Brisbane. They
Okay.
have they have this amazing custom built container farming solution, and we want to speak with them down the track. So, and then I know these people as well because we have a common mutual person that we know who used to be my teacher. So I
Mm.
took a course in hydroponics and greenhouse and crop cultivation because coming from
Okay.
engineering, I thought I need some good understanding about this how this works. And my
Yeah.
teacher was Graham Smith. He's an amazing guy. He done farming from Dutch farms in Netherlands to UAE to Australia and Singapore. So he's one of our advisors and also equity
Okay.
partner as well. So yeah, so connecting with these people, like, hey, how can we supply our systems to retrofit into yours, and then we can create a new solution. I mean, that's the idea. But as you mentioned, Harry, it's something it is in my mind. I'm truly going to look into this in the next coming months. Try to connect with people. That's what I thought. I mean, your podcast is great because you do speak with very interesting type of people. I think one of them was Ali. I forgot his surname.
Ali
Who
Daniali.
was
Yeah.
from Daniali, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
who had this service about farm as a service,
Yeah.
and I
Harvests.
always
Yep.
had this in my mind, and I was like, what a great episode you had. It's because you want to break the system of depending on large scale suppliers.
Yeah.
The creating urban solutions such as ours, like that's one of the reasons we're building one of the vertical farms in the heart of the city. We're like, what, these farms can be built anywhere,
Yeah.
and you don't have to be dependent on this transportation, this whole lot of things. But then the end of the day, you have these other people. How do you connect the customers? And then bang, Harry Shaw got the solution for that. So I was like, I'm going to speak with Ali down the track,
Yeah.
try to figure out how we can collaborate. So yeah,
Well, it's so
it's
funny because you mentioned modular farms and container, and I immediately thought of Ali because we've been talking and we've had some follow up conversations as well, and I'm really excited about his model. I'm trying to see if there's ways that I can support him through the connections I've made on the show, and because I'm in the same idea, the farming as a service. I'm like the light bulb went off, and I was like, this is exactly what you need. You need that marketplace, and with every marketplace, you've got the buyers and the sellers. So there's the chicken and egg, and which one do you focus on, and he's decided to tackle that challenge, and he's having some success. So I think anything we can do as an industry to kind of join forces and just make introductions and connections, I think is always going to be a good thing.
Oh no, I truly agree because like for us when we started, so we got this place in Docklands near the harbour because we got a nice place to build our first like commercial farm for customers to sell, and people always knocks on the door like, "What are you guys doing?" Because we're building all this crazy stuff inside the building and we cover the glass.
Time machine.
Yeah, we're like, I'm building a vertical farm. Like, so you guys gonna sell lettuce? We're like, yeah, and they're like, oh, just please let us know we want to buy it. And
Oh,
now is how that's how I came across Ali, like your episode with that. I'm
yeah,
like, oh my god, this does make a lot of sense, because these customers need a platform to buy it. And what if
yeah,
they just like click on the thing and oh wow, there's a farm in our next door apartment?
yeah,
We didn't know that,
yeah.
So yeah.
That's very, very good. So when you think about the why, like you've mentioned a couple of reasons, when you were getting started. Now, looking at where you're at, seeing the potential of the change this can have in the world, and seeing, your Gaia's place in this and what you've been able to do so far, has that changed at all? Like, why you get up every morning, why you work the long days, and why this is important for you?
No, no, I think that is still the same. I mean, for me, I'm glad I have chosen a path that I think there's a potential for it to be something really great
Yeah.
that that can truly change or help the mankind. For me, as I said, again, Harry is just like, I want to make sure the world is a better place because I was here. I think
Mm,
that was
that's
something
great.
I strive for, and I think this has a significant potential. So for me, getting up in the morning and work 7 days a week is. I never thought I could do it. I mean, I used to complain working 30 hours. I was like, oh, this is hard. I couldn't do this anymore. Now I push about
Because it
80 to
wasn't
100.
yours. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
yours.
that is true. Yeah, it is. It is.
And
Yeah.
so, like, as much as you try to get as much work done in the week, how do you find time to relax, and what do you do that, to just stay sane, or just keep your mental health in check?
Well, my couple of my guys at my work asked me that too. I thought you were not going to ask me that question, but I
Because we
seem to.
care, Nadun, we care about
I
you,
know,
man.
I know, I know. I think my guys do too. The thing is, I don't really get tired. Like I can't really do anything else rather now than just this. But the good thing is, like, I mean, I just celebrated my 40th about 6 months ago, and
Okay.
we've overseas when diving just in around Asia
Oh,
and then
that's
Thailand,
beautiful.
and then was the amazing cleanest seas I've ever seen.
Oh man.
Because of COVID, I think it took all the travelers and tourism out, and it just
Yeah.
replaced the nature. And then I've been out in the sea so many times, but I never seen the water and the fishes as clear as it was last time. So
Yeah.
I think for me, I think the goal is at least every 6 to 8 months, take a
Yeah.
day, take a week off,
Yeah.
just to refresh your mind, reset the system.
Yeah, the
And
reset's important, I think. If you Otherwise you get burned out, right? And then you start to
yeah,
lose some of that energy and enthusiasm.
I think it's true because I mean, I tried to figure out what was the ideal amount of hours that to work, and I found out around sorry, 8 to 10 is the best. Anything more than that, you become counterproductive.
Yeah, of course.
And for me, I always have like Saturdays, Sundays, I'm only working about 6 hours a day, so it kind of
Okay.
breaks the loop down a bit.
Only.
Yeah, 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 kind of short hours sort of day.
Yeah. What's a tough question you've had to ask yourself recently?
Tough question is, I mean, I would say always been is just like, am I doing the right thing? Is the right decision? Because as a startup CEO, I mean, I have a lot of different pathways. My advisors, team, and a lot of people that I speak with, tell me to take, that I, stop doing this head to marketing or do capital raising to further R&D or system. So, but then the end decision is made by me. So I'm like, have I made the right decision? So it's always that question always there, but
Yeah.
I think I always look back on my how I performed, how I did, and the journey that you always look back at. That's how you connect the dots. For me, I'm like, what? So far, I haven't been wrong. But end of the day, sometimes you had to make mistakes. Without
Yeah.
them, you can't really learn. I mean, there are certain mistakes I made even in the last 6 to 12 months, that I'm like, you know what, I actually learned something from it. Like
Mm-hmm.
we had a VC company pushed so much money into us. I was like, no, 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 I'm not interested. I wasn't interested. I was like, I don't really know, did that much money yet. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe down the track I might, but then when I
Yeah.
needed the money, they're like, oh, sorry, our pool ran out. I'm like, oh my
Oh,
god, I should have said yes. You know, so
yeah.
stuff like that. Just yeah, I mean, you learn from your business and then you pay better. That's
Yeah.
hopefully the idea.
Yeah, I think with this industry, it's been fascinating to watch is there's a lot of opportunities opening up, and some of it is a strike while the iron is hot. And to your point, and from the example you just gave, is it possible, to think that this may not always be such enthusiasm, or people are looking to invest money in projects, and then if they can't invest it with yours, they'll quickly find another one. So I think it's really seeing where there's an opportunity to leverage that, and then because if you know in your heart you're going to put that money to the best use possible, then it's like just how can you build some of that runway for yourself to give yourself some breathing room.
It is. It is. That's so true. I think one of the hardest things we found, even till now, is because we're a hardware based company, and mostly some platforms. So in a startup world, I think one of the things I've seen in the last 5 to 6 years is they put the blanket on startup as same. It's really not like, if I'm not saying application development is less costly than a hardware, but
Yeah.
when you develop a hardware, like for us, engineering costs about 50, 60,000 dollars per part. Then our tooling costs about another 30, 40,000. That's not even going to manufacturing, and that's to test drive something. And when you have a startup with a valuation, they say below 5 million, or 3, 4 million dollars, which is what you get on a startup. And then to raise $1 million, you have to lose about 25% of your equity
Yeah.
minimum, right?
Yeah.
And to do that at a pre-series level, you're not really digging a secure path for yourself in the future. So you have to always balance that out as well. I mean, that's why I kind of taken all these other pathways, just to raise money as only as I needed,
Yeah.
and then run through grants and prize money. We do get, good thing for us is we apply for stuff and then we kind of win most of the contests.
That's
So you're like,
good.
oh, okay, so that's $few thousand for us around the next few
That's
months.
great.
You know, until we have something solid to show people, so we can raise the valuation and then actually get the money. So it's always that cat and mouse game the
Yeah.
startups have to play.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Is there anything you've changed your mind about recently?
change my mind. I mean, my book changes once every 2 to 3 weeks, but not on the big decisions. But the decisions I normally make and I stick with it.
Yeah.
But smaller ones I always change. Like, because everything we build is just literally just built one day and then the test the next day kind of a scenario.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's currently what we're planning on. Like one of the things I'm not haven't changed yet, but planning on thinking is, can we push forward some other projects rather than just going on building, because NASA we have to do, but then some of the display farms we're thinking whether we do need to do this urgently because we have great customers who want to build other projects. Why are we delaying that? So
Yeah.
these things we're gonna have a few meetings down the track and just make some decisions, because you have to, as you said before, Harry, you have to hit when the iron is hot. So
Yeah.
it's always also a gamble that you have to make. So make some decisions down the track.
Well,
But
I'm definitely glad your team is pushing you out of your comfort zone. I don't know if you've done any other podcast interviews, but it's good to tell the story sometimes. And I think similar to your example of like going for the swim in the ocean, every 6 months, even like talking about your journey, because sometimes it's hard to look at the progress you've made until you've stopped and then you look back and you see all that you've accomplished. And I think having these conversations where you can share these stories, I think is really important.
no, that is true. I think a break, a mental health day is quite important. But
Yeah.
saying that, area, I think I should just mention you this. So when I was on that holiday, right, I do remember when I was at PP Island and I was just sitting down with a beer in my hand watching the sunset. Well, the one thing that came to my mind was I should be in my office doing some CAD work, and I was like, this is not right. So yeah, sometimes your brain is just stuck in one place though,
Yeah.
because look, at the end of the day, I know startup. It's a hard leg for the first 5 years. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
always been, and then for us, we are nearly on the end now. So it's just need to tighten your gloves and just go ahead. That's it.
Yeah.
But
So when you
yeah.
think about, it's hard to obviously plan sometimes, people try to make these big 5 year, 10 year plans, but maybe, 1 year, 3 years, as you think about the roadmap, as you think about what you want to get accomplished between now and then, what are some of the things you're looking forward to?
Truly looking forward for 2023 because we once we have this. So the two things we're finishing end of the year is there's a prototype which will be in display for customers end of the year, and the second one is we're building the first fully automated farm in Victoria. So Melbourne don't have vertical farm yet, so we're building the first one in
Mm,
Docklands as a startup, just with
okay.
very small amount of cash. But it's a big farm. We plan to build a 18 square meter ground space farm that pushing 6.5 tons of leafy greens a year. So it's a huge output for a small footprint. So the idea of building this is we, as I said, I mean, we can't have a lot of interest from people that they're coming in to know about the product, but for us, we can only sell as much as we can by a design or a picture or a picture. But
Yeah.
if people can come and view the system in action
Yeah.
and how this thing works, it's very easy for people to be like, you know what, this thing works. We can really use it in our system. So retrofitting or whichever the options they want to use. So hopefully around next 3 to 4 months, around Jan, Feb, we'll have the commercial farm finished as well. Then we have to build a Queensland farm, which we all going to be
Mm,
traveling down and get the gloves and shovels on, and then build this farm. And yeah, so really looking forward for it because after that we plan to do three to four more projects within Australia
okay.
before we go, like for example US and EU in 2024. That's our goal. So
Okay.
hopefully we can secure some other market deals so we can explore that side of the world as well. Because yeah, it's I think it just initial start is the time we get some word out from the people and get some experience from the feedback from the people, and I think the catches up of the system will be much more easier.
And then you've got the moon and Mars, and then what else
Yes,
is?
Mars. I'm a big fan of Moon. I would say I'll do the long journey.
Yeah.
Harry, we can go down there sometime.
Yeah. Let me know if you need someone to like record the interview on the way up or something like that.
Definitely,
Happy,
yeah. Well,
happy to do it.
it's a long 6 months journey. We got to figure something out. So
You got to pick up a hobby or something like that. So,
yeah.
um, knowing this audience, Nadun, as you said, and I appreciate you listening to the show, and I'm glad you've gotten value from it. You know, these are the folks that are in the industry, your colleagues and your peers. I just want to give you an opportunity. Is there a message that you have for your peers and your colleagues in this space?
Yeah, look, thanks, Harry. Look, thanks first of all getting me on this because it's I think you created this platform is really for people who's in this sector. So I'm too happy to get the opportunity to gives ask for something. It's basically if anyone is building any greenhouses or vertical farms, using NFT channels or you planning on retrofitting to increase the revenues, give us a call. Just give us a yell and then let's have a chat because to be honest, for me, yeah, of course, it is great for us to get some sales, but I mean, why not use some tech that would definitely create some significant increases on your output? So, just a train of thought. Come to our website, have a look. If you have questions, just send us a quick check through the website, and we'll be in touch. Yeah.
And so the website is Gaia Project Australia
Dot com. Dot
dot
au.
au. Okay, we'll
We,
be sure
yeah,
we
we are
get those.
changing that.
Okay.
Actually, we have changed because people always say it's way too long. No one can remember that. So,
And while you look that
yeah,
up,
so we hopefully change it down the track, but for now it is GaiaProjectAustralia.com.au.
okay, and we'll have that. We'll have all the links in the show notes. Any of the resources we mentioned are covered. And then if folks want to get in touch with you or the team, we'll make sure we have those links available as well. So, Nadun, I really enjoyed this conversation. Apologies again for showing up late, but it was worth it. Hopefully, it was worth it for you because I really just am so fascinated by all the stories that are happening in this field, how they're happening at all different parts of the world, and how everyone in each country is tackling their regional problems, from a different angle. And now, with this added complexity and excitement about working in space, that just makes the space that much more interesting for everyone. So I really appreciate you, all the work, applaud all the work you've done with Gaia so far, and your passion really comes through. And I appreciate you sharing your story with my listeners.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you again. Amazing time. And, I think time is always good. Worked
Yeah.
out really well, and I'm really glad to talk to you because I've been listening, being a fan, and then talking to you on your program. I'm like, oh, this is a great opportunity. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, definitely we hopefully have chat about another year or so to see the progress and see how everything goes.
Yes.
So we'll
Yes. We'll
probably
definitely
catch you
get.
if I'm in your part of the world. It'd
Yeah.
be great to meet you in person. But
Yeah.
not great, definitely. Thank you for the opportunity. Been amazing.
And if you make it to any of the conferences, I'm actually going to Dubai. Thankfully, with my sponsor Cultivated, there's the Agra Meat Conference in Dubai at the end of this month. And so
Oh wow.
I'll be interviewing a couple of the CEOs on site, and we've got a vertical farming podcast booth set up. So we're going to be doing, and I'm speaking on stage for about 20 minutes as well. So it's an
Oh,
amazing,
that's great.
yeah.
So, because we speaking with Dubai in regards to the Neon project,
Oh yeah,
the
Neom,
whole,
I want to
yeah,
see,
because
yeah,
it's something amazing. I'm like, guys, if you're building this, we really need to be inside that system. So we try to connect, make some connections now. So
yeah,
do mention us, Harry, if you do go
yes.
there, would be amazing. Yeah.
If you know anyone that I should meet there while I'm there, I mean, it's 18-hour flight for me. So if I can take advantage of like connections, if there's anyone in the space that you know, the Neon project is really interesting and fascinating as well. So
I can.
definitely,
There
yeah.
is a university that they deal with. So what I'll
Oh
do
yeah,
is I got your email address that you replied me today. So
yeah,
I'll connect you through with someone there.
yeah.
Yeah, I think because it's an amazing project and it's not just design. I think they already started the groundwork as well. So it's definitely happening, and
Okay,
would be something to keep an eye on.
yeah.
No.
Well, I appreciate your time again, and
Thank you, Harry. Have a good day.